Good morning from the empty streets of Kyiv. Now you may be asking yourself, how come the streets are so empty? Is Kyiv back in lockdown? Well, no. The reason why it's empty is because it's 7 AM in the morning. And now you may be asking yourself, what the hell is he doing up at 7 AM in the morning? Is he returning to the hostel after a night in a late bar? No. Today I'm getting on a bus to visit Chernobyl. Now, more successful and therefore richer vloggers than me have done vlogs about Chernobyl. Most of them have done private tours. Now I can't afford that, so I'm going on a regular group tour with a company called Soloist. And in a way, this will be more useful for people travelling to Ukraine, because this is the way that most people will visit Chernobyl. So hopefully this will give you some insight into what you can expect by taking a group tour. I'm hoping that it's not going to be too touristy. I'm hoping that the group I'm with aren't going to be posing for selfies or Instagrammers. I'm looking forward to this. This is one of the things I've wanted to do for a long time. Well, I arrived at my set-off point half an hour early, which is fine. The bus is already here, and so it's given me enough time to grab a coffee and just chill out. About 10 minutes until we set off now. Well, you see my passport, and apparently I am on the trip, so that's good. And I've ordered a meal, which I haven't, but I'll be getting some kind of pork thing, so that's good as well. I think we've got some documentary to watch on our way to the site, which will take about 2 hours, I think. Nice comfy bus. Free Wi-Fi as well. This is the first checkpoint that we've arrived at. It's about 30 kilometres from the Chernobyl reactor. And we have to show our passports to get through here, and then we'll reach another checkpoint which is 10 kilometres from the reactor. The entire exclusion zone is about the size of Luxembourg. Our first stop off is a former village called Zalicia, which used to be home to over 3,000 people, and they were all forced to move. This is a memorial to the people that died in the Second World War from the surrounding villages. You can see this is the widow and the hammer and sickle up there, and the dates on here are 1941 to 1945, and the reason for that is because in 1939 and 1940 the Russians were helping the Germans, and so they tried to separate those 2 years from the rest of the war. You can see the names of some of the people, all from the same families.
Well, actually in here we got the one main rule: if nobody gonna see you, that's okay. So, yeah.
This was the local shop in the village. This is where people would come to buy their groceries. This is the old Palace of Culture, where the local people of the town would come to watch plays and music, and it also contained a library which was mainly filled with the Russian propaganda. It was built in 1959. You can see it doesn't look that safe to go in anymore. I'm just going to follow you. It's like Squid Games, isn't it? That episode of Squid Games.
Oh yeah. Also, nearby the rooftop you can see the. Well, if you got relatives, in government.
This village was actually built in 1645. And when the Chernobyl disaster occurred, the people of the village stayed here for another 2 days, just hearing rumours about what had happened. You see the old wallpaper still there. See the old bed, the old mattress. Gotta be careful when you're walking in here that the floorboards don't just disappear. The people who left these villages were people that had been here for generations. This town was formed in the mid-1600s, and they were told they would be leaving for 3 days, but they never returned. So this is the outside shed. This would be where they would store wood. You can still see there's wood there for them to burn to heat the house. There's a lot of pots and pans. Probably there. Been there since their last meal. Out of all the people that were evacuated from the entire Chernobyl exclusion zone, about 180 came back after a few years and are still here now. Mainly old people in their 60s, 70s, 80s who don't really care about the radiation, and they just want to live the rest of their lives on the land that their parents and grandparents lived. This is the entrance to the town of Chernobyl, and in true Soviet style, every entrance to a Soviet city has this huge brick sign, and this one you see the word Chernobyl here, the atom, hammer and sickle, and then the plant on the river.
Most of them in here are under vet control, so it's pretty safe to pet them or to feed them.
He said most of them, right?
Yeah, most of them, because couldn't say for all of them, of course.
Please look friendly anyway.
Yeah. You can see the mark on their ears, which means that they were checked by the vets and under control. Yeah. Do that.
So in the actual town of Chernobyl there are still businesses up and running. This is actually offices. The people still work in the town of Chernobyl, because Chernobyl itself is a little bit further away from the power plants. The nearest town to the power plants is Pripyat, which we will be heading to shortly. This memorial, which goes on for quite a long way, is each sign represents a village that was liquidated, and this is an actual map of the exclusion zone. This part here is the 10-kilometre exclusion zone, and this part here is the 30-kilometre exclusion zone, and we've just been somewhere around here, and now we're heading over here to Pripyat and to the actual power plant itself, which is somewhere around here. Each of the candle holders represents a village that had a population of more than 1,000. If they put a candle holder for every small village, then you wouldn't be able to see the concrete. We're right up to the reactors now. This is reactor number 5, and reactor number 4 is over there. I don't know if we're going to get any closer to it, to be honest. So here we are at reactor 4, which is now enclosed by the new safe confinement. And this is where it all happened. So this memorial, these hands are holding the first sarcophagus. The second one was built with funding from the European Union because the first one was starting to fall into disrepair. When it was built, it was predicted to last 30 years. Inside there are cranes that are starting to dismantle the first one. And in 2045 they're going to be looking at dismantling the reactor core. This is the sign for the town of Pripyat, which was one of the newest Soviet Union towns. Pretty much everyone that lived in the town worked at the power plant and was aged between 20 and 30.
Pretty safe. Should be over here. Just wait. Oh, 19.726.
It's not recommended to live in a place that has a radiation level of 0.30. We've just measured 29, so yeah, about 100 times more. So we're not staying there too long.
I want to do the youngest one. Because it's a smaller.
We're now entering the town of Pripyat, which is a ghost town. It's permanently stuck in 1986. All the people were forced to evacuate. They were told they'd be gone for 3 days, and they never returned. We just come down the main street through Pripyat, which was called Lenin Street. The Russians would stay in hotels that were fairly hidden and a bit more luxurious. This was the hotel for the working people. This was the Palace of Culture, which is much bigger than the one in the last town. And this would have a swimming pool, concert theatre, boxing rings, Pektapa, an old restaurant. I've been told not to walk on the moss because the moss is high in radiation. It might cause problems when we try to get out. This is the old supermarket. It's where the people of Pripyat would come to buy their meat and vegetables and cheese.
This especially to the rest of the Soviet Union, because as I already said, they got just amazing supply lines.
We just done another radiation reading and it was 127.9, which is approximately 400 times higher than a habitable level, which is why no one can live here. This is the backstage area of the theatre in the Palace of Culture. You can see all the Soviet propaganda. We're now in the theme park, which was never actually opened. It was supposed to open 5 days after the explosion. So it was built and it had an opening day set, and then the explosion happened.
Still working. Yep.
has to be the creepiest Ferris wheel I've ever seen. So this is what would have been the ticket counter, the cash desk. And it never went round, not once.
The football field, and now we're standing on the running track. Actually, the stadium got.
This is the inside of the football stadium. All the seating is above us. Up here, you can just see the bottom of the stands there. So this, I would imagine, would be where people would come and buy drinks and snacks, so they can enjoy them while they're watching the football game, or whatever sporting activity was going on at the time, because they used to have different events here, volleyball and all sorts of things. These would have been running tracks, and this here is the football field.
Unpleasant is everything up to 3 microseconds. But so only this one is still standing, huh? Raining. Yeah. So this place is
This is the old kindergarten. I'm going to try and find a way in. Now, in terms of this being very touristy, I don't think it is, to be honest. I think only people with an interest in kind of dark tourism are going to come to this place. Well, that probably changed with the Netflix series. But I mean, it is what it is. You know, nothing's been done to it, apart from these little touches, which I think have definitely been put there for added effect. Managed to find my way in anyway. So these are the corridors of the kindergarten, and many years ago this would have been filled with the sounds of children playing, learning, singing. It's a big old place.
It looks like the...
Oh,
One step inside. You can look a little bit... You want a picture of that shit, yeah?
after you.
Oh, what the fuck was that? Oh.
That werewolf. This is the old Pripyat swimming pool. Can't go in this one, unfortunately. You can see the diving boards. This is the Duga over the horizon radar, which was built during the height of the Cold War to detect any missile activity. It's absolutely massive. It's approximately 150 meters high and half a mile wide, and different parts of it were built to pick up signals from different parts of the world. So you've got the main one, which picks up signals from America, and then you've got the second one, which would pick up signals from Europe. Race you to the top. I'll race you to the top. It was called the Duga woodpecker because of the sound that would be made from the signals being sent back and forth. It was closed down in 1986 and it's just been left standing, doing nothing ever since. I never got a chance to finish the Chernobyl video because by the time we got out it was dark and we were straight on the bus. So I'll finish the video now a couple of days later. It's given me time to reflect on how I felt about the trip. I didn't get the over tourist thing. Outside the first border control there was a couple of souvenir shops and some of the souvenirs were a bit bad taste. I'll show you the pictures now. But inside you're just left to your own devices really. Our guide did let us go in the houses, which you're not supposed to do, but there are so many rules about Chernobyl that people just ignore. It's an incredible, unique experience. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and before, way before the TV series. So I was glad I managed to tick it off my bucket list. It is incredible walking around Pripyat, especially when on the bus he showed us a promotional video of the city, which was built basically to house the families of the workers at the plant. And the city just looked incredible, and it's just so bizarre and surreal to walk around the city how it is now. It's just a ghost town and it's just been reclaimed by nature. I would definitely recommend going. It's not going to be there forever because at some point the building's going to get weaker and weaker and start to collapse. So if you are interested in visiting Chernobyl, then you need to kind of do it relatively soon. I went with a company called Solo East and they were very good. The bus was there half an hour before we were due to set off. The guide was a lot of fun and informative as well, and I think it cost about 75 English pounds, $99, and that included a good lunch. And yeah, the whole trip went well. I went as planned and it was an interesting day out. If you are thinking about a visit from Kyiv, then Solo East is recommended. So yeah, I would definitely recommend a visit to Chernobyl. As I said before, it's a very unique, interesting experience. You will learn a lot whilst you're there, and it's definitely worth a visit.